Hey everyone, it's Keela here for Soy and Shea, and thank you so much for joining me for today's video where we're doing one of the Patreon soap design challenges. Now for this month I asked my patrons to name some elements that they wanted to see me add into a soap, and I put all the suggestions into a soapy jug, and the one that came out was from Jill, who runs Sea Tree Soaps here in Australia. And I've left links to her business in the description box so you can go and check her out. Now Jill wanted to see me use some rice water and rice sand or some rice flour or something like that for exfoliation. Now I had to do a bit of research to find out what this rice water was and what it actually did, and did discover that it is meant to be incredibly good for things like the skin and hair, and it looked really easy to make. So I'm going to take you along as we make some rice water and then add it into a soap. Let's go. First thing we need to do is make our rice water. Now I've brought in some long grain rice from home. In fact, I think this one's actually a jasmine rice. I've got half a cup of rice in here. I'm going to start by pouring it into my bowl, and I'm going to give this a quick rinse. So we're just cleaning off that initial sort of starch and residue that is on the rice. A bit like when you're cooking it. I'm going to pour off that water, as much of it as I possibly can, because I personally prefer to use distilled water in all of my soaps, so there's absolutely no minerals in the water that can actually affect the life of the soap, as well as things like dreaded orange spot. So I've got those off of there. And into my jug I've already measured out 2 cups worth of distilled water, and I'm just going to pour that straight on my rice. I'm just trying to get as much of it off the side as I can there. Let's pour all that down into the water. And now what I'm going to do is leave this one sit overnight, and then all of the sort of goodness in that rice is going to soak out into the water, and then tomorrow we will strain that water off, and that will form part of our lye solution. Alright, it is the next day, and the rice has been sitting there overnight, soaking in all of that water, and I'm going to pour off the amount that I need to finish off my lye solution. I made an almost 1-for-1 lye solution, so I've put the water and the sodium hydroxide together, and then I'm going to pour off what I need for the rest of my liquid component. I just wasn't sure what the rice water would actually do when it met the sodium hydroxide, and I didn't want to ruin this soap. So I figured for my first go, to see what it actually feels like, I would do my usual sort of 1-for-1 and then add my extra liquid. So I've now actually just poured that off. You can see it has got a bit of a milky look to it. What I'm going to do with the rest of this rice is actually take it back home, and I will cook it for my dinner, so it's not going to go to waste. It just means I have some really clean rice to cook with at home. But let's go and make our rice water and rice flour or rice sand soap. Alright, so we're ready to move on with making this soap. So as I said, I've made a concentrated lye solution, which is here. And so that I don't heat this lye solution up, what I'm going to do is pour my rice water directly into my oils here, and just give that a bit of a mix. It's never really going to mix because it's water and oil, but it just gets it started. We're going to pour in the lye water. I'm going to mix it up, and then I'm going to split it out just for a couple of green colours. Okay, so now that we've got that mixed up, let's split it out. I have got some elusive mica. I haven't used this one for so long. I thought we'll dig that one out today. Next up I have some green sage, which has a beautiful gold tinge to it as well. It doesn't always come through in the soap, but it is a lovely green for other products. And then this green in here, this is a concoction of lots of different green micas. I was contemplating bringing some mica in for Pimp My Soap. As you know, that business is closing down, or may have already closed down by the time this video comes out. And all these mica samples that I had, I just made my own colours up, and this was one of the greens. So it'll be interesting to see how that comes out. Into the big pot, I'm going to put in some titanium dioxide. Whoops. And also into the pot, I'm going to add in my rice sand. I have bought this from off of Heirloom, but you could quite easily make it if you've got a really powerful blender. Just put some rice in, blitz it up until it's a really fine powder. I just didn't feel that my blender was going to blitz it up fine enough to get that nice texture. Plus I also use it in a few other products. So in that goes, let's give it a good mix. So just giving all those greens a bit of a mix. The soap has actually taken on that real distinct smell that you get when you add different additives like milks and stuff into it. It's a very strange smell. It usually does dissipate as well, but to kind of combat that, just in case, the fragrance I am using today, I have one called Balance. I can't remember how it behaves, so let's just hope it behaves really well. It has got notes of bamboo, bergamot, lemon, jasmine. There is a bit of lavender and musk in there, but all the other scents kind of gave me that real oriental feel, which is what I think about when I think about rice and all the rice paddy fields and stuff. So I just decided this would be the best fragrance to go with. Trying to decide whether it is ricing. I think it's actually just the rice powder that I can feel in here. I chose to only add it in here because I want to do a bit of a drop pour with these greens on top of the white, and like I said, I couldn't remember how this one actually behaves, and I didn't want to thicken my green up too much. Alright, let's get these ones out of the way. I'm not going to stop stirring because sometimes when you stop stirring, that's when they start to seize. And it is feeling just a little bit warm. Not anything to be too worried about, but just in case. What I'm going to do is pour all of my white into the mould. I'm going to scrape it out because I don't want any left for the top. But I'm going to work fairly quick because it has thickened, and I don't know if that is the rice absorbing some of that water, because that's what rice actually does when you're cooking it. It swells and absorbs the water. So that could be why it's thickening up a little bit with that rice sand. Alright, I think I've scraped enough tempting it. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to start with my darker green first. Oh, look, it could just be the temperatures I'm soaking at, because even my green has thickened up here. Maybe this design's not going to work. Hopefully it will. Let's pour it on the top. Just go for it anyway. The trick is, when things aren't going your way, don't panic. Just keep going. Because the more you panic, the more likely it is not to work altogether. So that's my little bit of advice when it comes to soaping. I'm just going to keep pouring this green on the top, and then I think because it has thickened up a little bit too much on me, I might put a hanger through the top. I don't know, we'll see what I feel like. Alright, so I have decided I am going to go for a little bit of a hanger, but I'm not going to go swirly swirl. I'm just going to go up and down, just trying to push some of that green a little bit further down. We'll see what happens. Definitely not the design I had in mind, but soap will do what soap wants to do. Alright, so this is definitely not the design I was going for, and I'm going to say that that rice water has caused this to accelerate. This feels really, really weird. I can feel there is a lot of pullback on the white underneath, so that white is setting up quicker than the green is setting up. And because that green had no fragrance in it, I know it's not the fragrance oil that has misbehaved. It has to be that rice water that I have added in here. But with a bit of luck, we will have some sort of design pattern in there. I'm not going to play too much with the top because I'm going to ruin it. I will just have to wait until this one has set up, and then we'll trim the edges to cut it. It's a little bit wonky, but it is what it is. It is smelling really fresh and clean, which is exactly what I wanted from something that had so much rice in it. I'm going to leave this one sit overnight. We'll be back in a moment and we'll cut it open and see what swirls we got on the inside. Okay, it is the next morning and we're going to get this one unmolded. It smells really good. I do like this balance one. I know you can't see what I'm doing. I'm just peeling back the liner from off the top. And the reason I'm doing this on camera is because when we poured this one, we had a lot of sort of overhang over the mold, and I was trying not to ruin the edges. So I've got sort of that lip of soap, and I'm just going to use my little potato peeler, vegetable peeler thing, just run it along the edge and really tidy it up so we don't end up with any nasty sharp edges across the tops of the soap. Normally I would I use the beveler to bevel the edges of my soaps, but it's quite hard to do the top ones for some reason. I think it's because it's never entirely even, so it's easier to do it when it's one big loaf and do it in one go. So now I've got that done, we're going to go and get Ida. Well, Ida's right here, and we're going to cut it up. Alright, so we have got Ida, and let's get this one onto the soap cutter. I just need to line it up, so we've got our little soap ends on here. So let's pop that in there. And this is my bigger mold, so I can get slightly bigger ends. Alright, we're lined up, and let's go through. I love the clean, fresh smell this one has. Let's see what we ended up with. Oh, that side doesn't look too interesting, but as always, as you start to move down, you get that little bit more sort of texture and movement. So that rice water really did speed up the trace on this soap. It had to have been that rice water because remember there was no fragrance oil or rice sand in the green, and that also accelerated. I actually don't think it was my soaping temperature because I did take the temperature of the oils and I was sitting at the temperature I usually always do. So I don't think it was the temperature of the oils now I think about it. I think it is just all of the starches and stuff that go into the rice water that made that soap accelerate. But I think it's going to be well worth it from what I have read about using rice water and all the benefits that it has. I am kind of getting a bit of a rice paddy sort of feel to this soap. If I'd done the bottom in blue, it would have kind of been like the blue water with the green rice growing on the top, and that was kind of one of my things I was thinking about while thinking of what to do with this soap with the rice paddy fields. But I am really liking how this one has turned out. It is very simple. I can see and feel a little bit of the rice sand in the white, so it'll be interesting to see what this one it feels like when it has finished curing. I'm going to go and put it on that cure rack for the next 4 weeks, and then I will be back in just a moment and we'll actually do a lather test with this end piece so I can let you know exactly how this soap performs and what it feels like as well. Alright, so we are at the end of the cure time for our rice water soap here, and it's time to give it a bit of the lather test, and I've been really dying to give this a go, keen to see how much it lathers, and I also want to know how that rice sand actually feels in the soap. You really can't see or feel much of it on here at the moment, so I need to know whether I need to put more or less into the soap bar here, but I'm also after that really gentle micro exfoliation out of that rice sand, just to give those customers who don't like the rougher exfoliating soaps but do want a little bit, this might be that sort of perfect solution for them. After 4 weeks, this is still smelling really good. It smells so clean and fresh, but let's give this a lather test and see how it performs. Alright, so let's get a bit of water going over it. turn it off because some people have said you can't hear me when the water's running. But that is lathering up beautifully already, and it feels so silky and smooth, really, really nice, and it's got beautiful bubbles. Now, bubbles don't mean cleaning, but everyone does like to have a good bubbly soap bar, but it does feel really, really soft on the hands. There is a little bit of exfoliation there, though not a lot, so it could be possible that I need a little bit more rice sand in there, but it does feel really, really good. It could just be one of those really nice soft micro exfoliations that you can't necessarily feel, but once you wash it off, you can definitely feel that something has happened. But look, we're getting a beautiful, rich, creamy lather from off of that. Alright, so I decided just to do a little bit more, because sometimes when your soap cures, it gets this really shiny surface on it, and those first sort of uses in the shower can feel a bit funny, and I've just got that first sort of layer off, and I can start to feel that sand or that rice sand in there now, and it feels really nice on the skin. I think it's definitely going to be a good option for those that like that sort of milder exfoliating effect. In fact, I really, really like how mild that is. Let me get this beautiful creamy lather off my hands. Alright, so there it is. That is our rice water soap, and I am really, really impressed with that, and we'll probably make a few more soaps with that rice water. It's left my hands feeling so soft and silky, but really clean as well, without that squeaky feel clean, and that exfoliating in there, it has just helped to lift all the oils off my hands from what I've been working with today. So really, really impressed with it. I do think that that rice water does accelerate the soap a little bit, and I have actually heard from Jill, who also made a soap with rice water, but she did 100% rice water where she froze it and put the lye into it, and she said that hers accelerated really quickly. So I do recommend doing a 1-for-1 water ratio and then making up the rest of that ratio with rice water, unless you like living life on the edge and like an accelerating soap. But definitely recommend making it with some rice water, just to say you've at least had a go with it. I hope you've enjoyed coming along with me as I made this Patreon design soap. If you did, why not leave me a thumbs up and any comments down below. And until the next video comes out, I hope you have a good one, and I'll see you then. Bye.